Washing a dirty bottle without a brush is very easy. First, add a few drops of detergent and some water. Close the bottle and shake it well. Then rinse the bottle thoroughly with running water. You can create an amazing tandem using household hooks and office clips. Attach a clip to bags of nuts and dried fruits that you store in the fridge, or any small packages or tubes. Now you can organize extra storage space on the door of your fridge. Simply attach hooks and hang the bags and packages on the clips. If your sauerkraut is getting sour and sour, to prevent this process, divide the sauerkraut into bags and put them in the freezer. Frozen sauerkraut stores well and retains its qualities. Before use, thaw it in the fridge. Before cooking chicken gizzards, rinse them thoroughly under running water and soak them in water for an hour and a half. Few people like the tough, stringy part of this offal, so carefully remove the most fleshy part. Make a cut under the film, turn the knife and cut off the fleshy part like fish fillet from the skin. First, fry the beautiful meaty pieces in a well-heated pan with a small amount of oil. Once the chicken gizzards are browned on all sides, add finely chopped onions to the pan and saute everything until it's soft. Add spices and seasonings to taste. Heat the contents of the pan for another couple of minutes and remove from heat. Sauerkraut thaws perfectly in 12 hours in the fridge. Chop up the contents of a bag bit with scissors so that there are not too many long pieces of a cabbage in the finished dish. First, lay out the chicken gizzards with onions on the bottom of a heat-resistant or baking dish and cover everything with sauerkraut. If your baking dish has a lid, cover it. If not, make one out of foil and paper. Preheat the oven to 160 degrees Celsius and cook for exactly 1.5 hours at this temperature. After this time, turn off the oven heat. But leave the dish in the oven until it cools completely. Let it simmer and gain flavor. After all, as we know, sauerkraut dishes are good for at least a day. On tea bags, there are often small cuts. If there is no cut, make one with scissors. Thread a string through the tag and into the cut. Now you can brew your tea without losing the bag. I have an interesting way to soften a hard avocado in just 5 hours. Take a ripe banana and wrap it tightly in foil together with the hard avocado. Put it in a dry, dark place for 5 hours. After 5 hours, check if the avocado has become slightly softer. If it's not soft enough to use, wrap it back up in foil and let it sit for another 7 hours. Now the avocado is perfectly soft and ready to use. To prevent brown sugar from becoming compacted during storage, put paper towels in the jar first. Then add a piece of bread. Both will absorb excess moisture and keep the sugar perfectly loose. Dried fruits are best stored in the fridge, but homemade dried apples and pears should be stored in plastic or glass containers that seal tightly. Store in a dark, dry and cool place. Let's make dried fruit compote. Put a pot of water on the stove and add dried apples, dried pears, and raisins for sweetness. You do not need to use sugar in the compote. Once the water boils, let it simmer for 5-7 minutes. Then turn off the heat and cover the pot with a lid. Let the compote steep until it cools completely. Strain the cooled compote since not everyone likes boiled fruit in their drink. You can use these fruits in porridge or sweet casseroles, and boiled dried fruits make excellent baked goods. Add cooked dried fruits without liquid in a food processor or blender bowl. Long cooking oats, brown cane sugar, ground cinnamon, baking soda, melted butter, and an egg. Mix everything for 30 seconds. Add a little flour. You can use whole wheat flour. Mix everything quickly again and let the dough rest for a bit. Meanwhile, prepare a baking sheet. If the baking sheet is too big for the amount of dough, you can reduce its size. Fold the foil into a long, wide strip and lift the free edges up. This creates a stable separator. To prevent the separator from moving during cooking, make several fixator supports. Cover part of the baking sheet with parchment paper. Bake the cake in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 30–35 minutes. Put the finished product to a rack and let it cool completely before cutting into pieces. This dried fruit cake is simply amazing with its gingerbread aroma. I'll share an easy way to learn how to use wooden chopsticks and not lose them in the process. Take a cocktail straw with a band, cut off the excess, and connect the chopsticks with a straw. You can be sure that now everything will work out. If you have a mold that you haven't used in a long time and your child has a spinner that they've already abandoned, if we happen to run out of dishwasher tablets, we can make our own. Mix together 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and teaspoon of liquid dishwashing soap. Now form it into a little tablet and load it into the dishwasher. Sometimes it can be difficult to open these plastic bags. Try looking at the edges near the handles. There is usually a tab to pull it apart. Another trick is to stretch the bag apart. This will cause the 2 sides to separate. Thanks to our viewers, we learned lots of great tips to help around the house. Here is a great way to store lots of plastic bags for later use. We'll fold the plastic bag into a long strip like so. Then we'll fold over one corner to form a triangle. And keep folding over each corner until we get to the end. Then we can tuck the end into the fold. Now they can be stored neatly in a plastic tub. When selecting canned fish, be sure to shake the jar to listen to how much liquid is inside. Also, check where the product was manufactured. If it's far from the sea, then the fish is likely previously frozen. Lastly, we'll want the can to say "wild caught." This means that the fish were caught in the ocean as opposed to farmed. Next, we'll be preparing brown rice. First, rinse the rice under running water. Then put the rice in a bowl, cover with water and let soak for 5 to 6 hours. We can then use this rice water to water our plants. The rice acts a type of fertilizer and gives plants the minerals they need to grow. And with this small amount of rice, we can pour in mineral water and let sit for 5 to 6 hours. We can now pour this rice water into a small sprayer like so, as a tonic for the face and skin. Today we'll be cooking pulao. We'll begin by slicing these carrots into strips. First, cut off a small piece at an angle so that the carrot is stable and doesn't wobble around. Then we'll continue to make slices at an angle all the way down the length of the carrot. Now we'll lay the carrot flat and then cut them into strips. This makes cutting carrots quick and easy. When we're finished, we'll heat up vegetable oil in a saucepan. We can check if the oil is hot enough by using a wooden skewer. If bubbles start to appear, it means the oil is ready. Add in chopped onions and cook until golden brown over medium heat, stirring constantly. Once the onions have browned a bit, we'll add in the chicken. Today we're using chicken thigh fillets. Cook the chicken until it's seared on all sides. Next we'll add spices. Here we're rubbing cumin together to bring out the aroma. We'll also add a bit of turmeric and barberries. Then we'll add in the carrots and cook for about 5 minutes. Once the carrots start to soften, we'll pour in enough hot water to cover the meat and then cover the pan with the lid. Let everything simmer together for about 15 minutes. Next, we'll add in the brown rice that we soaked from earlier. Spread the rice over the meat and vegetables in an even layer. Then we'll pour hot water over rice until the water level is slightly above the level of the rice. It should look something like this. Cover the pan with the lid and cook on low heat for 40 minutes. After about 20 minutes, most of the water should be absorbed. For extra flavor, we can add 2 small heads of garlic into the rice. After 40 minutes, remove the pan from the heat and remove the lid. We'll then fold the rice over into a mound, being careful not to mix the vegetables and meat layer underneath. We'll let the rice sit like this for another 45 minutes before it's ready. If it seems like not all the water has evaporated, place a bowl or a plate on top of the rice, then put a clean kitchen towel on top of the rice. Cover with the lid and let sit for 40 minutes. The fabric will help absorb any excess moisture and our plof will come out nice and fluffy. Now we can gently mix the rice together with the meat and vegetables. Serve on a large platter so everyone can help themselves. And we can garnish our dish with heads of garlic in the center. Did you know that eating the kiwi peel is actually healthy? It contains lots of fiber and healthy nutrients. But to remove some of the fuzz, we can use a steel scrubber. Now that the fuzz is removed, we can slice the kiwis and even eat the skin. Our next dish will be making small curd cheese pastries. We'll mix together 1 pound of farmer's cheese with 1 egg yolk and about 1/3 of the egg white, and a pinch of salt. Mix together. Then add in pre-soaked raisins and rice flour and mix until everything is incorporated. We'll use an ice cream scooper to form our pastries. Place them on a baking sheet and bake for 18-20 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Our pastries have a nice thin crust and a soft crumbly center. We can serve this with ice cream or a strawberry topping. We'll start by heating up a bit of butter in a pan. Then we'll add a sheet of rice paper and crack an egg over the top. Beat the egg so that it scrambles. Then we'll add some cheese folded in half and then flip it. We can add other ingredients too, like tomatoes and sliced chicken. Cut into slices like so to serve. A fun way to decorate these radishes is to slice off little pieces of the red skin so that it looks like a mushroom. We can then cut the bottom half of the radish into a mushroom stalk. Now we'll add oil and mix our salad, which has tomatoes, cucumbers, and radishes. We'll top the salad with lettuce and place our radishes as a garnish. Our last recipe for today will be a homemade instant soup. We'll first cut up spinach and Napa cabbage into thin strips so that they'll cook faster. We'll be using a ready-made broth for the flavor of this soup. It can be homemade or store-bought. We'll pour boiling water into this bowl and let sit for a couple of minutes to warm up the bowl. Pour out the water, then add the cabbage, spinach, carrots, salt, and a bit of couscous. Next, we'll add the boiling broth to cover our vegetables. Cover with a lid or a plate and let sit for a few minutes. Now we have a quick, delicious, and healthy lunch.